in terms of individual comics, let me show you one that a lot of people are going to love, especially people who grew up from the 80s. This one right here. So this is Masters of the Universe, and it's issue number 9. Now, this is a notable issue because it's very difficult to come across this particular one. There's essentially a lower print run for this, so it's harder to come across. This comic book alone, just as long as it's it's in decent condition, this comic book will routinely sell for around $100 just by itself. So you want to write this down if you ever come across it. Masters of the Universe number 9. There's He-Man there, Orko, and Hordak is his name right there from the Evil Horde. He's the leader of the Evil Horde. So I have his action figure and all sorts of stuff. So I don't have this one listed yet, but no one in the United States currently has this listed. So I'm probably going to put this up pretty soon for $100. So make sure you are looking for Masters of the Universe number 9. By the way, if this is graded, and it's something I have to look at closer, because I actually might send it out to get graded if I decide to do that. If this is in like near mint condition, this comic will routinely sell for between the upper thousands or the mid thousands to $2,000, like about $1,000 to $2,000, I'll say, just to be broad and conservative with it. So it's a really valuable comic, but that would have to be graded and come back like pretty much close to near mint condition for that. So that's that one. Now, I did pick up some other books there. I picked up some manga books. Now, if you've never seen manga books before, and this one's called Vampire Knight. I actually just sold a bunch of these recently to Zach, if he's watching. He actually bought up all my Vampire Knights, except I have one extra. I have an extra of number 1. So I had to stock up again. So I got this set here. And they sell really well. They're popular. But I wanted to show you a manga book because if you open it up, it could be confusing, because this looks like the front cover, right? It's Japanese animation, but when you open it up, you're actually at the back of the book. That's how these books are designed, okay? So the back, what looks like the back of the book is actually where you would start reading it from. Now, I have to be careful with manga books because, as I mentioned in my prior video on adult content, there are some manga series that's what it is. It's a whole bunch of adult content inside, so you got to really be careful with the titles. Now, they made 19 of these. I do not have a consecutive run. I have 6 issues. So you can see here, I am missing number 3. So does that mean people won't buy it? No, people will buy mixed lots of these types of things. I will probably be able, if I just tried to sell this and not hang on to it and wait to get number 3 or other ones, I could probably get around $30, $35 out of them or so. So don't think that just because it's skipping one that you can't sell. It's a little tougher, but people will buy it. People even buy it if it's like 2, 5, 7, 9. They'll buy mixes of them. They're called a mixed lot. It does really help with this one that I have the first issue. So anytime you could get a number 1, that is definitely good. Just trying to find places to put stuff. Now, I did also buy some comic supplies because I need to put things in bags and boards. So this all comes in the lot price, but individually, if you were to price this stuff out, the boards come to about $9.50, and the bag is 100 in there. They come to about $6.50. So it's about 16 bucks right there in terms of value for what I got as part of the lot. But BCW is the company I recommend for bags and boards. That's what I use exclusively. I have links to the different sizes of the bags and boards in the description section. Just got to go down for magazines, all sorts of things, different sizes, Golden Age, Silver Age. These are the modern ones right here. So it's very good to protect your books. Those are Amazon affiliate links, so if you buy anything through there, there's a commission that comes through to help support the channel. All right, so now I'm going to show you something that's not a comic book, but you definitely could find in these types of collections when you're picking through them, because a lot of comic fans also, like myself, love science fiction. And so what you see here are 2 vintage, they're from the 1980s, science fiction convention programs. In fact, what ICON stands for is Island Convention, because these conventions took place on Long Island in New York. So there's ICON 5. there's icon 6. You can see there that took place in 1987. So this one being a year prior is 1986. Now, these do not come up to market often. This was a popular convention in the Northeast. It ran for a while, for many consecutive years, very popular in the 80s. It kind of went in fits and starts, and they had some years where it didn't go on in the later 2000s. The last time they had one was 2017, and that was their 32nd one. So, hopefully in the future they'll have another one, but for right now it's shut down. So what is this going to go for? I'm really not sure. This might be something that I auction off in a set. Icon number 12 is the only one that came to market over the past year, and that one sold at a buy it now price for $28. So we'll see. I'll probably put these together as a pair. I think that's going to add value to them. And one of the things I want to tell you as a tip when you look through these, because you don't want to make the mistake of just putting them online and say icon 5 and icon 6 and then put the years and that's it, and say like science fiction convention program. You want to put in some keywords based on people who showed up at the convention to talk, because that's what draws people in, is they would bring in convention speakers. I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me to it was a Doctor Who convention. He took me to one in Newark, New Jersey, and I met Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, who played Ace, so his companion, and that was just a great moment. I always remember it. And lo and behold, look who's here, John Pertwee, a third Doctor. So you better believe that I'm going to put that up there, because, in the title as a key word, because Doctor Who fans, I know being one of them, they love to have everything Doctor Who related. So if Doctor Who anything appeared in something else, they want to get it and have it for their collection. So I'm definitely going to advertise that. Doctor Who would be a keyword to put into that as well. So we'll see what happens with that down the road. All right, now another title that I want to bring to your attention, because this is a character that does not get as much love and appreciation as I think he should, and that's because he's not a traditional superhero, but he's a superhero to me because I grew up with him and just got so many laughs and appreciation of Sergio Aragone's art. It's just amazing. I love it. Gru the Wanderer, and this is his dog, Rafferdo. I have every issue that was published through Marvel, all 120 issues, and I have a lot of the other issues as well. There's been a lot of publishers that have published Gru. So you'll see it through Pacific Comics, Eclipse Comics, Image Comics, Dark Horse. There's been so many different places that have published it. But what you'll also find are trade paperbacks, and there's a little horse there. That's a popular publisher you should know, Dark Horse right there. And some of these trade paperbacks, which are compilations of multiple issues into one, are fairly sought after by Gru collectors. And so this one right here, for example, should easily go for around $25. Now, most of them go for around that rate, around $20 to $25. But of course, the price and what you'll get for it just depends on the supply at the time. So if someone is really looking, for example, for the Gru Jamboree, or if they're looking for the Gru Kingdom, right now you cannot find them on eBay for less than $50. So I'll probably put them up for right around that range, and then we'll just see what happens a week to week with it. But I love that that title, and I love the artist, like I said, Sergio Aragones. How much do I love him? Well, I actually have this one right here. Now, I didn't source this one today. Those other three that I did. I'm just showing you this because I actually have one of these issues, #1 issue of Gru, hanging on my wall on the side. So there's just a little close-up of it. But I actually have this one in my eBay store. I bought this as an exclusive because check this out. Not only is this the first issue, but inside is an actual signature right there and a little illustration drawn, hand-drawn right there by Sergio Aragones. So there you go, and it's dated as well, 1993. So that's really cool that there's a special little drawing of him in the first issue and signed. So I've got that in my eBay store if anyone is interested in that one. So another thing that I found while sourcing is this right here. This is Aliens versus Predator. Now, there's another little tip. be careful about old price tags that you'll see on things. Like you see there, that just says like it's $1 or something. Well, that could have just been some other comic bag that was put onto this, or just something weird happened. I don't know. But this is not worth $1, folks. This cover is actually very hard to find. Anytime you see Alien versus Predator, it's a popular matchup. It's very popular in comic books. Definitely look into it. This cover being very difficult to find. It's a trade paperback again. This one go for on an upper end would go for around $35. So the prices that I'm quoting you today sometimes are what you will get at the top of the line if the condition is, you know, really, really nice. So, and when I'm sourcing, obviously, I'm trying to really source things that are of high quality. So if I see things that would sell, but the quality is bad, then I generally pass up on, unless it's something super rare. Now, going back to my my prior video. All right, now what would a primetime treasure hunter comic sourcing video be without the lovely lady showing up at some point? That's right, we've got Danger Girl here. Now, if you haven't heard of Danger Girl before, add her to your list, and also add the artist J. Scott Campbell. If you ever see anything with his name, look into potentially sourcing it, because he is very, very popular. This is the ultimate collection. It's a trade paperback. So this one would sell for a maximum of about $30 depending on condition, and then you just subtract from there. The only other lovely lady I'm going to show today who you should also look out for is Dawn. Sometimes you'll see it will say Cry for Dawn. You won't always see her name if it's like an art sketch or something that's done. But she's easily identified by her red hair, and you will also see tears coming down her eyes, hence the words Cry for Dawn. Now you can see here, this is 1 of 4, so I don't have the complete set. So why did I pick it up? Well, I could individually sell this as a first issue for about $10. Might have to wait around for a little bit, but I have someone who's subscribed to the channel who loves anything Cry for Dawn, be it art or comic related stuff. And so whenever I see it, I pick it up and I, send it out to her and ask her if she is interested. And, sometimes I just put like little lots together. So that's why I pick up Dawn, but be on the lookout because she is popular. Then I picked up some Batman related stuff here. So here you could see this is Batman's World's Finest. Not only is Batman here, but Superman is here as well. Now this is supposed to be a 3-issue set. You could see here is number 2 with the Joker. If I had all 3, I could probably sell them for about $15. But what I'm doing here, I wouldn't normally advocate, if you're just getting into comics, buying an incomplete set of something. But because I buy so many collections, it's inevitable that I'll have World's Finest number 3 around somewhere, and then I just complete the set that way. So that's why I do that in those situations. I do look for Batman stuff. Batman is, of course, very popular. This is a Batman Christmas related book called Noel. I have sold it before. Shout out to Noel Griffiths, by the way. The last time I had Noel in my video, the actual word on a Christmas sign, I didn't shout her out. She got mad at me, so jokingly. So Noel, Farm Girl Scavenger, gets a shout out here. But anyway, this one will sell for about $10. It's a thin hardcover. Now this one's a soft cover, but it's a more popular book because this one was just made in like mass amounts, like a New York Times bestseller, as you can see on the bottom. So as a result of that, even though it's a popular book, it has a big print run, so it's not going to be, it's just more of it around, as opposed to this Bruce Wayne Murderer with a question mark. This one would have a maximum value of about $45, so that's a good one right there to pick up. This one here in isolation would be worth less than $10. So why did I pick it up? I have so many Batman books like this that I just add it to it, and then I make little lots from it. So it's in decent condition, so I just picked that up. Another title that I love to get, Chuck Rosansky is fond of saying, if you don't know Chuck, go and see my Mile High Comics video series. It's a 9-part series in which I visit the world's largest comic book shop. I do sort of like a mini documentary. It's the proudest thing I've ever done on YouTube, and probably will always be the proudest thing that I ever did. And Chuck has talked a lot about the combination of Star Wars with comic books. it's like the perfect marriage. So I always look for this kind of stuff. And so here you could see there's a Han Solo trade paperback right here. This one doesn't go for that much money, go for around 10 bucks, but it's an easy 10 bucks when you could see how I'm going to get my money back easily from this haul, or I could combine it with other things. All right, so I've got another cool Star Wars trade paperback here. This one is Star Wars Dark Empire. This one should go for right around $15 to $20. Now, for those of you who love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I know there's a lot of Chris Pratt fans out there who love his portrayal of Star-Lord, well, yes, I've got some vintage Star-Lord comic magazines from the late 1970s. These are really cool. This one here is issue number 15. It's from 1978. Then I've got number 14 as well, as you can see. And then this is just another great example of the different types of formats of comic books, compared to, your average size comic here. It's obviously much bigger. So I love picking up comic magazines. This one's number 18. And you can see here, these come from Marvel Preview Featuring. And then here's Marvel Preview Presents. So Marvel Preview is the title there, though. Those should go for around 20 to 25 bucks a piece, although of course I could lot them together. This one here, this is from the Marvel Super Special series. This one's worth a little bit more. Could go up to about $30 just for that issue, again, depending on condition. So that's number 10 right there. So that's cool. Thunder Agents is another cool title to look for. This is a series that came out in the 1960s. You could see what it stands for right here. It's the Higher United Nations Defense Enforcement Reserves. There were 20 issues that came out with the lot. So this here is issue number 9. This one's only worth about 15 bucks or so, yet issue number 13 is worth a little bit more. This one could go up to as high as about 35 bucks. So it just goes to show you the lower issue isn't always the more valuable ones. It really just depends on the title. Now, I always love to find Spider-Man stuff and pick up Spider-Man things whenever I could find it. And what I love to find are what we call annuals. So unlike your regular 30-page comic book issue, the annuals, this one was taped on the bottom here, the annuals are bigger. So these were 64-page issues. So they'll have a thicker side. That helps you to identify it more like a traditional, it's not as thick as a book, but it has more of that type of binding compared to a regular comic book issue, which would, be real thin and look like that. So for this one, this is annual number 10. This one, depending on condition, could actually go up to about $20 to $25 just for that one. Now, that's because it's from, by the way, the Amazing Spider-Man. Of all the Spider-Man titles that you want to look for, Amazing Spider-Man is by far and away the most popular one. Once you start getting into other titles, the value starts to decrease. So for example, over here, we have a lower annual number. This is annual number 2, but you could see here it's from Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. So this one is actually fairly common, and it's not even really worth that much. So this would be something that I would add into a lot or something like that. And keep in mind that Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, later changed its title to Spectacular Spider-Man. So they took the Peter Parker part out of that. Now, another thing that I found here was, speaking of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 99. Now, I normally wouldn't recommend picking that up if you're just starting out with comic books, but because I have so many comic books and buy all these collections, a lot of times I'll get an issue 100, and then I want what we call bridging issues. So I want something to bridge the story around the 100. So I'd like to get a 99 or a 98 or a 101 or a 102 just to continue the story arc a little bit, because that'll add some value for me. Now, I could potentially sell this one alone for someone who wants it for that purpose as well for about 15 bucks, but that would be a maximum value on that single issue. I'd ideally like to pair it with something else. Now, this one is really cool. This one comes from 1970. Sorry for the little glare there. Actually, let me take this out of the bag. This is Captain America in his first ever king-sized issue right here. So you could see this is pretty big. It's actually bigger than the size of an annual. I mean, these things usually would go to like 80 pages, sometimes 100 pages for this. This one doesn't have an exact page count on it, but it's a cool issue. And it's actually one that a lot of people actually seek out. This one here would have a maximal value in near mint condition of $65. Now this one's not in near mint condition because you could see on the back there's little stains and stuff, and that all diminishes the value from it. But that would be the maximum on something like this. But it is a sought after issue, so I still should be able to make some good money selling this one. Another title that this is an inside tip for you on something that you definitely want to look out for, because a movie is dropping on this in 2021. It might even get pushed out further depending on what happens with COVID, but the Shang-Chi movie is going to be coming out, and that is going to drive the values up of this series right here, The Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. Now I have multiple issues, as you can see right here. I actually have 2 copies of number 46, and these are ones that I'm just going to add to other Shang-Chi Masters of Kung Fu comic books at a later point. Now, you could sell a mix, like a mixed lot of about 7 vintage Masters of Kung Fu comic books. You could get as high as about $55 out of them. It partly depends on what issues it is that you get, but I've even seen just mixed random, lots of that. Here's 6, but again, I have many more I could combine it with. So anytime I see the vintage Masters of Kung Fu, I pick it up. It's also available in this magazine format, which you could also get as well. I showed those in the father-son sourcing video. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a long time, you know that I pick up Deadpool stuff whenever I could find it. So here you go right here. This is a bunch of Deadpool stuff. Very easy to identify him right there. He's just in that red suit. Kind of looks like Spider-Man a little bit, but he doesn't have the webbing on him. And he always has these 2 swords in the back. So anything Deadpool, again, I always grab. If you ever see actually, this is a variant for number 13, but they made many variants for this issue. If you ever see issue number 13, it's a Super Mario variant. If you ever see that, that should easily sell for between $50 to $100 just for that issue. This particular one is just one that I would just include in Deadpool lots that I would put together. And that's what I do. I just make these customized Deadpool lots for people. Another thing that you want to be careful of is to make sure you're looking for subtitles. So you can see here, this one, it's Deadpool, but it says the Mercs for Money. So there's many other issue numbers that go with Mercs for Money. So I would just try to add it to those to build up value in that lot. Another thing you have to be real careful of with Deadpool is there's multiple volumes of the series. So for example, there's a volume 1, a volume 2, a volume 3, and they each have their own number 1s, number 2s, number 3s. So like you can see here, look at the font. It's a little bit different from this font over here. You can tell there's a more modern comic book. This one, comes from 1997, and this one is much more recent. This would be, in the 2000s and stuff. So you have to be careful with that and try as much as you can to lot them together within the same volume, although people will buy them mixed across multiple volumes. Another title that I look out for them in toys as well, is Evil Ernie. This is actually a glow-in-the-dark cover variant, so if I were to shut all the lights off, it would glow, and it's pretty cool. He's a really violent character, which is why you see this red coloring coming down like this. This one go for around $10 to $15. This one here is another Evil Ernie comic, not worth much in and of itself, but I could just add this to this one to kind of sweeten the lot and add value. So another thing, speaking of Star Wars, I showed you some Star Wars trade paperbacks earlier, but I want to talk to you about what's known as retailer incentive variants. That's what these 2 are right here. And so they still do this to this day. What happens is that when you place an order as a comic book store with Diamond Distributors, what they'll do is to incentivize you to buy more is they'll say, for every 100 comic books that you buy, for example, you will get a few of this particular variant in it, or you'll get a few of this particular variant in it. Now this one here, the Han Solo and Princess Leia one, this is a 1 in 20 variant. That means for every 20 of the standard cover that was published by Marvel, they made one of these, okay? So this one though, this is a 1 in 25 variant. So with like the teamwork being shown on the front. So what this means that for every 25 standard covers, they made one of these. Now the price at the time for these was high. The comic book stores priced it up. This is how they make their money a lot of times, is they buy a lot of the regular issues and then they price up the variants. Comic book collectors buy them because they don't know, and they'll buy them at a high price because they don't know if it's going to spike up in value in the future. You could see the price tag on this one was $25. And the price tag on this one was $20. This one being less because it's 1 in 20, therefore being more common than this one being 1 in 25. But these things aren't even worth that these days. Lucky to get around $10 out of them. What I would do is lot both of these together and then sell them as the 1 in 20 and the 1 in 25 variant. If you're interested in trying to find out information about whether it's a 1 in 20, 1 in 25, you got to go to comicspriceguide.com. It's free. I have the link down in the description section. There's no catch at all. I just use it all the time. It helps me with my comics research, and you can really find out a lot of good information that way. All right, so that's everything from the private pick that I did today. And then, as you remember, I went to pick up that secretary table and hutch for Mrs. Primetime. And the guy gave me the 2 boxes of comic books. Now, I already opened them up, went through it just to make this go faster. I know it's a longer video, but it would have been way longer if I didn't do this. So I took the comics out of here and I consolidated them into this box over here. There's a total of 52 comics, which means for the $10, I paid 19 cents an issue, which is about right for what you want to be at. I always say be around 10 to 20 cents, but you're going to be more towards that 10 to 15 cent range if you're buying a really lot of comic books, like, you know, hundreds to thousands. But when you're buying a smaller collection like this, you're going to be more towards that 20 cents, and sometimes maybe even a little bit more depending on, you know, what's in the box. Now, it's funny, this isn't worth anything in and of itself, but look what we've got here. Thunder Agents. Remember I showed you the vintage Thunder Agents earlier? Well, here's a more modern version of it. So that's funny. I could even just add it to those other ones. Now, the reason I bought this, even though there is no single issue in here that's worth a lot, is again, for my business, having so many comics, I could take these out and I could add them to other, comic series and lots to just add value to them. Perfect example is this right here. This is Secret Wars number 2. Now, you can see here, this is 9 of 9. Now, I already have number 9. I'm actually looking for number 8 to complete a set. But I continue to complete Secret Wars sets. Now, Secret Wars number 2, if you have all 9 of them, I just sold it recently, sell for about 25 bucks. But if you have Secret Wars number 1, which is a 12 issue set, that one sells for, over $200. So that's definitely the one to get. But I have a whole bunch of different Secret Wars 1 and Secret Wars 2 sets, and so anytime I see them, I just pick them up. So that's just a tip to try to pick up any kind of Secret Wars stuff. This one here, you got to be careful of this because you might think, oh wow, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 9, but always look what's above it. You can see it's the official Marvel index to the Amazing Spider-Man. So right here, what you can see inside, it's just an index, regarding the different characters and the comic books. It tells you things that happened inside of it, gives you like inside scoop and that sort of stuff. And Marvel also put together an official handbook of the Marvel Universe. There's lots of these things floating around. So when I grab them, I just put them together in lots. They're good to even have as a reference because they teach you about the comic book characters. So if you're trying to learn about them, picking up, even just big books about the comic characters, any kind of index, encyclopedia could really help you out if you're trying to learn the different characters, watching the movies, that sort of thing. All right, so there were some Japanese animation based comic books in there. Now, of all these, there's really not one in here that's worth a lot individually. I mean, like this one here, The Forces of Buddha number 13, it sold recently for 10 bucks. But what I would do is just combine these together as one big Japanese animation comic book lot, or combine them with other Japanese animation comics that I have, and see if I can match titles up and that sort of thing, and add value that way. And that's really my main goal with this lot here, from a comic sale perspective. Beyond, again, another goal was just reaching out to that guy, just symbolically, like letting him know, hey, look, I'm interested, and call me if you have any more. And you never know what that next phone call is going to be. But as you can see here, we've got some Planet of the Apes comics. This is a #1 issue for this series, but it's not made by a company that's popular, Adventure Comics. People aren't really looking for that. So this would just be something that I would use as an add-on to other Planet of the Apes types of items that I get into my business here and there. Besides that, really everything else here was just pretty much random stuff. But there's a hidden treasure in here I'm going to show you in just a moment. You might have heard it rattling around in there. I did not see it when I was there. I didn't know because it was just buried on the bottom of the comic box. So we'll get to that in 1 second. Let me just show you these other ones real quick. I mean, there are some #1 issues for some things, but they're pretty obscure titles. Some of these are what we would call underground titles. They're made by independent publishers, and there really weren't necessarily that many of them made, but at the same time, there's not really a big fan base for some of those either. Some of them there are, it just depends, but not the ones that I got in this lot. So what I could do is make like an underground comic book lot. So that's another word to keep in mind, underword comics. There's some Superman there. I mean, this one's good. I could add to my Clive Barker books. Clive Barker comics always sell very well. Flash is always good to have. This is probably the oldest one I have here. You can see it's from this collection. It's a 50-cent one. This is probably one from like the early 80s. There's a Nam series. I have a whole bunch of Vietnam-related comic books. Green Lantern is always popular. Deathstroke is, has some popularity to it. Anything Avengers, I'm always interested in. Now, you'll see a lot of this one around. I don't pick it up unless it's coming with a lot. It's not worth anything. There's a zillion of them out there. They totally overproduced this comic. I've literally seen entire comic book boxes filled with this issue of Wonder Man #1. They made way too many and no one cared. Same thing with this one. Even though it has Spider-Man on it, it's just really not worth much at all. There's a billion of them out there, and it just never really gained popularity. In fact, here you see again, there's another Wonder Man. A bunch of people picked them up. That was going to be worth something. Never was. Power Pack, it's a decent title, but, just as an individual issue, not going to get much out of it. Here's a Batman one, so I could just add that to my other Batman stuff. And again, just some random stuff here that just not really valuable. So again, individually. So, I could just, blow these out as like big lots, or I could use them as add-ons for other things. Camelot 3000 isn't a bad one, so if you could find that. This is a X-Men #1, but it's more of a modern one, and it's also very overproduced. So you're going to see this a lot. Don't think when you see this, sometimes you'll see it in a plastic bag. Don't think that it's worth a ton of money, because it's not. This one is pretty cool with Deadman on it. He's a cool character to look for. So this one I'm pretty happy with. So this is a random kind of one from a multi-part series. It's not worth anything individually. You need the other pieces of it for that one to have some value. Here's a Vigilante one. Here's the Demon. He's a cool character. Suicide Squad has some popularity to it. But again, all these things I'm just going to have to add into other collections. I'm not going to be selling these things individually. This is maybe a little lot I can make. This is called the Malibu Sun. Which is based on a comic book company called Malibu, but not a lot of people like Malibu comics. Cloak and Dagger is popular, so I'll just add this to my other Cloak and Dagger comic books. It's another random one here. This one's called Hardcore. This one here, Ray in the Future Force, or Rye in the Future Force. This one actually became popular over time. This one's made by a company called Valiant, and there are people who are interested in that. And Turk, the dinosaur hunter, you really got, it's not something that individually, like that comic, you're not going to be able to sell it for a lot of money. Usually you have to have that title in bulk, again, to be able to sell it. But what was the hidden treasure rattling around inside this box? This is cool. This one's going to pay for all the comic books. Look at this. Have you ever seen this before? It's called Tiger Sticks. And what it is, it's a video game on this little stick, and they made a whole bunch of them. They came out in the 90s, and it still works. It still has the on button. This game is called Clobber. Now, this particular game, it's not, you can't find this one available right now on eBay. It hasn't even sold recently. It did sell within the year for around 25 bucks. So I could probably list it for more than that. And again, then that just pays for all the comics, and it's just a nice random treasure treat that I found inside of there. So that is pretty neat. Looks like it's some kind of fighting game. If I bring this up a little bit closer, that you could see. So it's cool. It still works and stuff. It's pretty neat. So I love just finding surprise treasures, even though I'm excited about all the comics and the other collectibles that I found. Finding the stuff that you didn't know was there, you know, hidden on the bottom or inside a book, that's the best. Now, a couple little updates on some other things, because that's the whole haul. Right before I came down to start this, you remember I sourced this recently at a estate sale for $3. This Disneyland reel, sold it for $27.50 tonight, so that's a good little sale. And as I mentioned last night on my live show interview with two Aussie thrifters, so go check that out. I was over on Brad and Jasmine's channel, Two Aussie Thrifters. It's a great time. I mentioned that Mrs. Primetime had sold this butterfly bracelet for $25.99. So we've already sold 4 pieces from that animal jewelry lot unboxing that I recently showed a video on. And we've already made all of our money back. Everything else now is profit. That's 19 cents a piece invested into each of the 350 items about that we wound up getting from that. So we're very happy with that. Thank you to Katie Morgan, Katie Reeds on Instagram for purchasing the snake earrings. And thank you to Jessie Shops for purchasing the parrot necklace and earrings. And happy birthday, by the way, officially to Jessie Shops. She's awesome, and I hope she has a great day. I gave her a big shout out on Instagram as well. And just as another update, the Disney lot, we're in profit on that one already as well. We still have a lot of the stuff listed and a lot more stuff we will be listing, but check this out. The mother bracelet with the little Disney charms on it, and it spells out mother, sold along with the necklace today to the same person, an international sale to Ireland. It's been paid for already. This one sold for $60, and this one sold for $32.50. So almost $100 sale just on these two little items from the Disney lot unboxing that we did. So very happy with that. So I want to end off by just giving another shout out here, and this one is to Troy Shockley from Mountain Man Treasures. Go check out his YouTube channel. He recently did a video in which he's doing something really special for Toys for Tots that you can contribute to. So I'm going to put the link to the video down below. You can go check it out and go contribute to Troy's cause that he's doing over there to help kids out as resellers over the holidays. So it's really awesome of him. So that's it, everyone. Thanks if you stuck through this entire thing. I know it was long, but there was a lot of stuff to go over, and I hope that you learned a lot and had a little entertainment along the way. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you back at the next one, everyone. Take care.